I'm in London today, hence the change of scenery, and I'm making this video today because there is a general feeling in our culture that it will all be okay in the end, and because of that, it isn't all okay right now. In other words, one day when my business is successful and I can afford a house and so on, I'll be happy and I'll be at peace, and I can say goodbye to the chatter inside my skull. We all know this isn't true, though, don't we? I mean, it's a feeling. You can feel it. It's not the truth. We all know that happiness and peace are much more complex than this. And if you think about it, it's the way you trick an animal to go somewhere. I mean, you put a reward on the end of a string and you dangle it in front of its nose. Right? That's what we do. We put happiness and peace when? For example, about a year ago, I decided I needed this iPad for lots of different reasons. I mean, it's an incredibly useful bit of tech with the Apple Pencil, and I use a lot of notebooks, and it would be great if I could not waste so much paper and have all of my notes in one place. So I bought one, and I had the delivery date emailed to me. I knew when it was going to arrive, and yet I still spent a lot of time tracking it. On breaks in my college I'd go, oh, look, it's in Birmingham today. That's closer than it was yesterday. That's exciting. When it finally arrived, or on the day of its arrival, I sat there looking at videos of how I could use it and what the best apps were and how the Apple Pencil worked and so on. I ended up getting nothing done, and I ended up putting off tasks that I could have done anyway, just so I could do it with the iPad. And then when it finally arrived at my front door, I got it open, set up my Apple account and all that sort of thing, and did the apps that I'd been researching, and it was great. It was really useful, and it still is really useful to me. But within about a week of having it, it stopped being this saviour that I had made it into in my head. It stopped being this magical object that was going to answer all of my problems and solve my productivity issues. It just became an iPad, what it is. It became part of my workflow, and I've never really looked at it at the same way since. And I'm saying this because I feel like you can resonate with this. I mean, you've done this with things before. Maybe it was the new iPhone, or maybe it was clothes. Maybe you thought, oh, I really like that shirt, and I'm not going to be happy with how I look until I'm wearing that shirt. It's a micro example of how we put happiness, success, and peace when. But we all know they don't need to be when. I mean, everything is okay now, right? There's enough air in the world for me to breathe, and there's probably enough food in your fridge for you to eat. You're not unsafe. So why do we do it to ourselves? Better yet, what would happen if we stopped doing it to ourselves? Well, if you're a rational person, alarm bells are going off in your head right now, which is a good thing. It means you're thinking it through. I mean, what would happen to progress if we were all just satisfied where we were? Would everything in society grind to a halt? Would everything in society just grind to a halt? Would it all just stop? I mean, who's going to go out and get money to put food on the table or keep the electricity going, so to speak? Well, I'm here to tell you that progress has not got us anywhere we're happy with yet. We all know that. And I'm also here to tell you that that's not how it works. You don't just turn to stone. You see, I've been cultivating this part of my awareness for a long time now, through different forms and through different philosophies, my favourite of which are Zen Buddhism and Taoism. Now, these philosophies both help you cultivate that part of you. They both help you understand that everything is now, and that is enough. Also, if you're experiencing any alienation or disconnection or meaninglessness, you're really not alone. This is kind of the spirit of our times. It is a symptom of a culture that is progressing far too fast technologically, and a byproduct of a social game that can't keep up. And these philosophies and practices speak to those issues profoundly and dissolve them. However, these philosophies come with a whole host of problems. I mean, some of them are over 2,500 years old, so they're hard to translate, and they're from a completely different culture, which makes them even harder to translate. Also, the stuff that we have in the West and the translations of them in the modern day often seem like snake oil. They just seem like fluff, and you're a sucker if you buy into that sort of thing. But you'll know, if you've had any sort of real interaction with these things, that they have an air of universal truth to them, and they help millions of people find peace in their own lives. Also, if you're interested in any sort of metaphysics, you will know that a lot of the answers that we're churning up in modern science today are the same answers that were given to us by texts like the Tao Te Ching, or in Hindu mythology, the Bhagavad Gita. You'll also know that modern science is discovering these things again. For instance, Andrew Huberman, whatever you think of him, he's an incredible neurobiologist, and for a long time he's been singing the praises of a practice called NSDR, non-sleep deep rest, which is essentially the same thing as Yoga Nidra, which is a practice that is thousands of years old. So here is my promise to you. I promise to take these concepts from ancient wisdom traditions, primarily Zen Buddhism and Taoism, and synthesize them into 10-minute long YouTube videos that are easily consumable and actionable, and deliver them straight to your YouTube homepage if you click the right buttons in the next 30 seconds. Anyway, with all that being said, thank you for being here today, and thank you for taking the time for yourself. Peace.